if we look at our business industry today, we realize that social media influencers are the top advertisers, and we've actually seen companies approach them more compared to how companies used to operate with advertising companies before. But now we want to find out what exactly is happening in this industry from a social media influencer perspective, and also from advertising perspective, and what probably means, what is the future of business with this in the coming years. And right now I am joined by one social media influencer. Apparently right now they're called influencer marketers. She's called Auntie Jemima, and on my side I have my colleague called Cedric. He's also part of the advertising team here at Capital. This one will first of all go to both of you. Does the shift the attention to know what industries are now doing consulting social media influencers more compared to advertising industry? What do you guys feel about this? What do you think is happening at this rate? I'll start with you, Auntie Jemima.
Okay, two things. Number one, we have moved to the digital era. So if you notice that everyone is always on their phone, so what a better way to advertise your product than the digital way? Number two, I think a lot of people tend to shy away from direct adverts, and that's why you find we, the influencers, will come up with a creative way of pushing a product and a brand out there, and that creates something that the audience will relate to, so that way they are not shying away from the advert, so it makes it more interesting. Yes.
What about you, Cedric?
Well, I think just like Auntie Jemima said, I think it's just a matter of time. It's like moving from old post to email. It's inevitable. It'll have to move. But I also think currently we are seated at the Wild West, or a gold rush of what digital marketing is going to be. So currently everyone thinks as long as you have an influencer or you're a content creator, you're an influencer, and they're all headed in that direction. Sooner rather than later, brands will, or rather influencers will be caught out. We'll find out a few of them have been lying to us on the return on investment, or we've been doing this wrong. We'll find out a few people, or we'll find how to do it correctly. So yeah.
Cedric, now that you're talking about the fact that you're somehow in support of what Jemima has said, and what does that mean for business in advertising companies? Does it mean that you guys still are lucky enough to make money through advertising?
Yes and no. Because, for example, way back in the day, people used to have, say, only newspapers and billboards to advertise on. Radio and TV came in, and advertisers increased their marketing budget. It's going to happen the same way with digital media. When we started doing digital media at Capital FM about maybe 13 years ago, thereabout, we didn't shrink our radio revenues to grow our digital. Advertisers just came in with more money for a new channel of marketing. It's completely different, and as long as each medium grows, the advertisers will find ways to find more money for each of these channels. So is there going to be business? Yes. Are some mediums going to die? Again, just like post office and email. Post office, it's still existent, but no one uses it as much. We use more email. So same thing, I think.
All right, Auntie Jemima.
Yes.
You said chances are high that once an advertiser comes and approaches you, hey, by the way, I need you to sell this product for me online. It seems to turn out that the product will lose its essence. Therefore, it means you're the one who's going to get the attraction more than what you're actually selling. Because when people see such an item, they will be remembering you. So what do you say about that?
For most of the brands that we get, currently what you're doing right now is you'll find a client will come to you and tell you, we do not want you to sell this. We want you to push for brand visibility. Because I think that is the major thing that we're doing with the online influencers. Because when it comes to selling, unless we work with the what is it called? There's an arrangement you can have with a company that we'll give you this code, or we will link our website to yours, so that when someone buys something through your video, you get a commission for that. But right now what you're doing majorly is brand visibility through influencing. So selling wise bado hatujafika hapo. Yeah.
So it's just brand influencing.
Yes.
But at the same time, if you're doing that, don't you think now the product will still lose its essence, and instead you're the one who gets the traction more?
Not really. Because like when the first product I ever influenced for was ketepa, and everyone would just call me auntie. Sasa bado unawauzia ketepa. I don't think the brand will lose its essence as much. It also depends on how you package your content. The way you package the video you're putting out there will really tell whether the product will lose its essence or you're the one who will gain traction.
All right.
Yes.
Now this one,
If I could,
no problem.
I think what Auntie Jemima said is very true. But let's not get it twisted. Influencers didn't start happening with digital media.
Yeah.
We've always had media influencers. Way back in the day, we'd find whoever was a hot TV personality and a brand would use them as an influencer. It just so happened that in the digital space, anyone can be a content creator as long as you have the talent for it and you know how to capture an audience. You become a talent creator and by extension can become an influencer.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no new dynamic about using influencers in digital. We've always had them, and in fact influencers are more popular in traditional media than in digital media.
All right. Now, Cedric, since you're the one who started the conversation, I'd like you to go on and probably tell us if probably that is the way the clients are heading. Why don't you all what do you think about this? That chances are high if someone is going to purchase a product, it's based on the influencer's say and approach. And you do not go to find out how is this product going to benefit me. So you're just going to purchase it because a certain influencer has said this is going to work for you. What do you think about that? Then Jimmy, you can also respond once he has done so.
First, there's different levels of influencers. Do you remember the lady from, if you're born way back in the 80s like me, used to have a Knorr ad, and there was a chick who take off her lesson. Turn on the stove. Da, 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 da. Really? Wow. Yeah, something of the sort. Or for example, Peter Marangi. We all remember Peter Marangi.
Yeah, we all do.
People go now to buy paint and ask, where is Peter Marangi? I'd like to consult with him.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't work there, but he's an influencer. If you saw him on the street and he told you, that paint you're using isn't the one, you'd sort of believe him, even though in marketing we call that a primary influencer. Or for example, most recently Colin Kaepernick or Serena Williams with Nike. Nike will use them as a brand because they already have a following. As a primary influencer. What they do is the brand is now riding on the influencer. Then there's a secondary influencer. You'd come down, maybe for example in the case of paint, and you'd find a nice lady who has a vlog on interior decor, and she'd tell you how she paints her house. And as a brand, I'd still go back to that secondary influencer and tell them, now push my brand, sell it. The primary influencer will get me visibility. The secondary influencer, I'll tell them why my paint is better than the next paint. You know, and there's no one size fits all solution. It's a tricky mix in between there, and like I said earlier, it's a wild west right now out there in digital marketing. But there's time and influence and space for all of these mediums to grow. And I support very much what the democratization that content creators have brought in. It's opportunities for, back in the day, us media people would be gatekeepers for, if we don't like Auntie Jemima, she's never getting her face on a billboard ever. Today she picks up her iPhone, puts it on a little tripod and grows an audience, and I now have to go back to her and tell her, please push this product for me, you know. And I think that's a very good thing.
What about you, Auntie?
From an influencer's point of view, he has explained it very well. From an advertiser's point of view, I think for what we do, for example, if I'm influencing a product that I haven't used before, because a client will come and tell you, I want you to push this product for me, But if you get queries on how to use this, if it's something for consumption and all that, if you get queries, then there's a way we link up with the company, so that if a client comes back with questions, oh, I use this is what happened to me, or before I use this, what can I do? First, we will get all the info and we'll put it out there in the Vine or in the description. But if a client comes back with a lot of questions, then we direct that directly to the company. The other thing is, we try, as Auntie Jemima and the company, we try as much as possible to use or to influence products that are well, something I use. Like, my biggest audience is women, so most companies that will approach us will bring products that are used mostly by women, whether it's cooking and all that. So by the time I'm putting it out there, this is something I have used. Even the video will come out more lively, and even the client will understand more, and it will come out very well. Yes.
All right. Now to my last question, probably to Cedric. Cedric, we've had some advertising companies complain that sometimes clients come with products, and you know what involves production, like what advertising companies do when it comes to production. And now the majority of them, they want to give a certain amount of money that is usually shared with the social media influencers, and that cannot be compared to advertising company. So what do you say about this, or what do you think, is that really what is happening at the moment?
It is a little bit, and I think the net winner in this case is going to be content creators, independent content creators and influencers. Because, say for example, if I was going to pay an independent content creator, vlogger, to create content for product X, and assuming their charge was X, if I went back to an ad agency and told them to do the same thing, my spend would be 10x. In these economic times, when companies are trying to scale back on costs, the number one place where they'll try and cut back on costs is in marketing. That's one of the first places you're going to cut back on your costs. So if content creators aren't doing anything wrong, they are filling a gap. There is a need for brands to be had out there at a tenth of the price they used to spend before. So I think, one, it's right that they are doing that. Second, it's up to us ad people to figure out how to work our way into this system.
I think that's the end of our discussion today, and we've got very good deep and good insights from both Auntie Jemima and Cedric. That means that ad companies they have to up their game so that they can also remain relevant in these industries. So at the end of it all, you can actually see both can work together. It isn't a win and lose for anyone. Thank you.